Tom James will be starting in 5 minutes. Please come on in and take a seat. 5 minutes until we get started. Two minutes. Tom James, come on in and take a seat. We are starting promptly in 2 minutes. Tom James, please come on in and take a seat. We'll be starting momentarily. Please come on in and find a seat.
All right, Tom James, let's get to your feet and stop talking. And welcome to the stage your MCs, LeVar Smith and Sheila Khanna.
All right. Get excited, Tom James. Welcome back.
Good morning, good morning. Come on in to get your seat.
Yes.
Let's get started.
Got an exciting Thursday ahead of us.
Can y'all believe it's Thursday?
It is Thursday. We're trucking along.
Who enjoyed their second night of CEO dinner?
Right. Had some CEO achievers. I saw Justin come back in
I heard
last
y'all
night.
had a surprise celebrity guest last night.
Really?
Naresh Khanna was there.
Oh!
I wasn't invited, but
Dang,
Naresh
your
gets an
dad got to go?
Daddy
you
got to
didn't?
go. My mom showed up too. They had a
Wow.
great time. He's still in bed recovering, so thank you, Todd, for great wine. He's like, I'll see you next week.
Have a seat, ladies and gentlemen. Come on up in here. All right. Yes.
Are y'all ready for another great day of learning some more so we can learn how to be growing in our service,
Yes.
in our business, in our financial opportunities here?
I know. We get to hear from John Hitt, I think, this morning.
It's like my favorite day, gotta say.
How does it feel to be John Hitt, man? The anticipation always just mounts for that man to come on this stage.
Oh, all the people that aren't here, physically in attendance, have been texting me, what day is John coming on? Make sure you text me before he comes on stage. I'm like, don't
The
worry.
most sought after speaker of the meeting, right?
100%.
All right, you guys ready? Let's chill that banter out just a little bit.
I was about to say, if we're not quiet enough,
Right.
you may not hear your
For
number
the free clothes, right?
for some more free clothing. What do we got today?
The Platinum Package, Royal Classic, Super 130s wool, lustrous, dynamic, beautiful. Who will it be?
It'll look very similar to this beautiful suit you have on today.
Yes, indeed. A little bit of a roll around there. Reach on in. Don't you dare look. Don't
Random,
you
random, random.
All right.
Oh, all right. 6,
9,
0,
4.
1.
Madison Guillory. Is Madison in the building?
Uh-oh. Madison, you in here? There she is. Come on up here.
Yeah, way to go, Madison.
The lights are so bright I can't see
I
anything.
know. Yes. Can you believe
Already
you won?
looking so fashionable for today.
Really? Oh my
Perfect.
gosh, we're not gonna tell them that part. Congrats to Madison
Congratulations.
Guillory, y'all. Give it up. All right. I believe we can direct our attention to the screen.
welcome to the stage Chief Financial Officer for Tom James Company, John Hitt.
Good morning, Tom James. As my predecessor, Phil Williams, used to say, it's a great day at Tom James. And the reason is that the day that we declare a dividend is the day that we distribute profits of Tom James to its owners. That's right. And at Tom James, there are no owners outside of the company. You are the owners of Tom James. So while most days of the year we're paid based upon our sales, our production, our hours worked, and so on, today is the day we are paid for being the owners of this business. Those of you who were at the International Sales Meeting in Orlando a year ago will recall that the Board of Directors will now meet twice a year to consider declaring a dividend, in January and in July. Each potential dividend is now based upon our results for the previous season. So a January dividend is based upon our fall results, and a July dividend is based upon our spring results. We're here today to consider paying a dividend based upon fall 2025's results. Briefly, Tom James sales professionals have the ability to increase their stock bonus, and that's what's paid on unpaid shares and options, based upon your performance against quota. It's called the stock bonus multiplier. For our previous dividend announced at the July meeting, we used the higher of the calculation based upon full year 2024's results and spring of 2025. This ensured that a strong stock bonus multiplier from 2024 applied fully in 2025, our first dual dividend year. This was also an opportunity to improve in spring 2025 because you got the better of the two. But that was a one-time transitional accommodation only. Should a dividend be announced today or any time in the future, the stock bonus multiplier will be based solely on your results from the prior season. Okay? Wanted to clarify that. First, a word about the 2025 stock offering. Effective with this offering, any full-time non-union employees as of October 1st of the offering year will receive a minimum offering of $2,500 in shares and $2,500 in matching options. Yeah, give that a little love. In the past, anyone could have requested to purchase shares, but that required them to take that initiative and to understand the process. It could be daunting or intimidating. But for the 2025 offering and forward, we want everyone to know you are important, your work is valued, and you are invited to be an owner in Tom James. This decision added an additional 509 employees to this offering, all of whom will be eligible for a dividend based upon fall 2025 results, should one be announced today. The complexities required to expand the offering in this way delayed the stock offering process by a few weeks, but the new offering is now live on the Tom James secured sites. Whether they have access to the retail site or not, all employees have access to the HR site and can access their offering from there. So everyone has the ability to get to their offering. All completed agreements must be received by Friday, January 23rd, so that's 2 weeks from tomorrow. New payroll deductions, if any, will begin in February. If you have questions or feel that your offering is inaccurate, please reach out to the stock department by Friday, January 16th, so a week from tomorrow. You can call extension 2552 in the home office, or you can email stock@tomjames.com. And again, any shares signed up for in this offering will be eligible for a dividend should one be declared today. And now, on to the decision. The Tom James Board has reviewed our fall results, our cash position, and our prospects for the next season. The strong results of the last few months, coupled with the gathering momentum that we sense in all parts of our business, weighed heavily on our minds. I would like to present you now with the board's decision. The dividend on fall 2025 results will be paid to shareholders of record on January 1st, 2026, along with new shareholders from the current offering. The dividend on fall 2025 results will be paid on March 2nd of 2026. The dividend on fall 2025 results will be paid on paid shares, unpaid shares, options, and net worth building units. The dividend on fall 2025's results will be 19 cents per share. That's paid on paid shares. On the stock bonus, which is unpaid shares, options, and net worth building units, the stock bonus will also be 19 cents per share. And every active employee who owns shares will receive at least $250, no matter how many shares or options they hold. The total amount distributed to all shareholders on March 2nd will be $3,061,142. On Monday, the clock begins ticking towards a potential July 1st dividend announcement. As I always say, there is no hidden reservoir of money that will fund our next dividend. Maintaining sales will not grow our dividend. It will diminish our dividend because our expenses go up every season. Focus on serving clients with outfits and wardrobes in spring of 2026. Focus on achieving your next level of wardrobe masters. Focus on growing your women's business in spring 2026. Focus on growing your book of business in spring 2026, increasing your rolling 12 clients every day. And focus on building strong and vibrant office cultures in spring 2026. Here's a brief history of where we've been. What do you want it to be? It's up to you. You have all seen this quote sometime during this meeting or your life. You can have everything in life you want if you will help enough other people get what they want. Help our existing clients get what they want. Introduce new clients to the beauty of a well-tailored wardrobe and confidence in their attire. Help our existing partners reach new goals and accomplishments. And bring new partners into this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we call Tom James. Congratulations and thank you. It is great to be in business with you. I'm not leaving, so you don't have to clap. Okay. I'd like to welcome to the stage the Board of Directors, Todd Brown, Craig Forrest, and George Stoner. Just look pretty. You know, just look pretty. Okay. All right. As Todd often reminds us, how you leave an organization is just as important as how you enter. Jane, would you come on up to the stage, please? And bring your friends if you'd like. Okay. You all right?
Yes, I'm fine. I'll deal with this.
It won't take long.
Good.
It'll be quick. Today, we wish to honor a pillar of the Home Office who has decided to retire this March after more than 44 years of service on behalf of Tom James. Jane Thrasher began her Tom James career on August 27th of 1981. She worked initially in accounts payable, handwriting, checks, and credit card charges. She also helped out in payroll. Her role in accounts payable gradually expanded, and she eventually became the supervisor of that department. She has led our general ledger department as well, before assuming her current role over logistics, covering shipping, freight, credit cards, foreign currencies, store moves, phones, and internet access. I vividly remember meeting Jane on my first day at Tom James in 1995. I asked someone where I could get some pens and notepads and that type of thing, and they directed me to a cabinet that was in the old home office. So I was digging around in there, and I had this eerie sense someone was watching me. So I turned slowly to find an incredulous Jane Thrasher, mouth agape, staring at me, this newcomer stealing supplies, and she said, "Who told you you could go in there?" And I said, "Nobody." But I knew from the day that I started that Tom James was a place that doesn't waste money. Something you may not know is Jane was once a math teacher. One time I was trying to figure out a formula for something, and I asked Phil Williams, and Phil said, "Ask Jane." And I went, "Okay." So I asked Jane, and she thought for a moment, and she took out a pencil, and a piece of paper, and she calmly wrote the exact formula that I needed, and it was exactly right. But to truly understand Jane, you only have to know one story. Jane once rejected an expense report submitted by our founder, Spencer Hayes. When Spencer's assistant notified him of this, he said, "Who did that?" And his assistant said, "Jane Thrasher in the home office." And he said, "You get her on the phone right now," which she did. When Jane got on the phone, Spencer said, "Is this the Jane Thrasher who denied my expense report?" And Jane said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "I just want to thank you for looking after our company's resources and making sure we don't waste any money." And that really happened. Jane, on behalf of all of Tom James, I want to thank you for jealously guarding our assets all these years. We will tremendously miss you, your work ethic, your intellect, your tenacity, and your commitment to building Tom James. But we are also happy to see you enjoying this next chapter of your life after building our great company for over 44 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in expressing our heartfelt thanks and sincere gratitude to Miss Jane Thrasher.
Thank you, John. That
You're
was
welcome.
very nice.
You're welcome. Jane, take a picture. Okay. Okay. For those of you that can't read this, it says, "Thank you to Jane Thrasher in grateful appreciation for 44 years of service. Each and every one of your many contributions are appreciated for the immense value they have added to the development of our company. Wishing you a long and very happy retirement from all of us at Tom James." Thank you, Jane. Jane?
Most of you know that the word I say most is no. Most of the calls I get are wanting to spend money, and the answer is no. My mother always told me it's easier to change from no to yes than from yes to no. So I've tried to follow her instructions. So those of you that know me know that no is the answer. I really have enjoyed my years at Tom James, or I wouldn't have been here this long. And I will miss it. It's been the biggest part of my life. Thank you.
To introduce changes and updates to our SDR program, welcome to the stage from New York City, Amy Sachs.
Good morning, everyone. It's a hard act to follow with both the dividend announcement and a retirement, so thank you so much, Jane, for all your work over the years. I just have a couple really quick updates to the SDR program. As most of you know, we reintroduced the sales development representative position last season, so over the summer, and we just have a few things that we are updating on it that I think are really exciting. So as a reminder, the SDR program is a way to bring in candidates to Tom James who are perfect fits for who we are, what we do, but maybe just don't have the sales experience or work experience that make them ready to just jump into the sales professional role. So last season, you needed to have a $2,000 assistant allotment available to be able to have an SDR work with you. So one of the changes we're making this season is it's going to be lowered to $1,500 in available assistant allotment. And the other very exciting change is anybody who is a store leader who has gone through You Build It, You Keep It is eligible to have an SDR as well. Exciting, right? One other change is after 3 months in the role, if you had decided to keep your SDR in that position, you were going to have to start paying out of pocket. For the 4th through 6th month of this role, if you are selling 35 over quota, the company is going to take care of that expense. You can keep your SDR without paying out of pocket for up to 6 months there. Just a couple things to think about when deciding if you guys want to have an SDR working with you next season. If you have $1,500 in assistant allotment, that probably is going to give you, 12 to 15 hours a week, depending on your market, in an assistant. If you decide to go with an SDR, that's a full-time 40-an-hour person who's there to both help you support your business and things like alterations, prepping clothes, some of that back-end things, but also setting you appointments. I had an SDR this last season. She's finishing up her 3rd month here. Last month, she was able to get 8 dormant transactions for me that helped me to reach a new level of the bonus, a new stock level, and a bunch of other things for the year. And so those 8 extra transactions are just people that I have not been able to get a hold of. And she's going to be starting as a sales professional in February, which is just awesome. And especially for store leaders when you're thinking about that. So I'm going to have a person who knows how to phone call, knows how to do all the back-end work, is very familiar with our system, and so is just going to have a much easier learning curve getting into the sales professional role, and also filling a spot in February, which is, as a lot of you guys know, a tough month if you're open to hire then, to get somebody in there. So these are really exciting changes. Everyone's assistant allotment you're going to know for the season coming up here in a few weeks. So if you're interested or have more questions, please reach out to myself or one of the other ORLs, and there's going to be further instructions of emailing Jennifer McNulty if you guys are interested. But really exciting changes that the recruiting team is very happy to be able to report to you guys. That's it.
To introduce our bonus for January, welcome to the stage, Kevin Nairn. Yeah, I'm the voice who does those things, so, here I am. I want to thank you all for, standing and honoring Jane. That was really nice. 2 standing ovations. But I'm going to tell you, we had a backup plan. If y'all didn't stand, we were going to say, everyone in here who also got their expenses rejected, please stand. And it would have been, everybody. So, we know the feeling. So it's really great. Well, I was really excited to hear about Jason becoming the president of sales. It was really cool. I'm really excited about it. But I'm a little upset because you totally stole my thunder and introduced the bonus before I did. And, we'll have a talk later, one-on-ones, I get it. But you already know kind of how this bonus works, so we'll go over it a little bit. But, it's really based on rolling 12, all right? It's growing your rolling 12. So there's 4 ways you can earn money, 16 ways, whatever it is. So you got new clients, and you've got your dormant clients, you've got your drifting clients, and you've got your lonely clients. At quota, you're going to make $5. Then it goes to 6. At quota plus 20, $7.50. At quota plus 40, and at quota plus 70, it's $10 a unit. So pretty good. Who here likes cash? It's a pretty cool deal. Who in here like Jane? I need more excitement than that. Who in here likes cash? You got. In honor of Jane, you didn't cheer that much for cash. That was nice of you. No, but we all love cash. We like to get this cash, okay? So this is great opportunities to make some good money in January. So what are all of these things? And how do you call them? How do you get a hold of these clients? Well, new clients, if you should be able to find out how to find a call list for new clients. If you can't, ask Abby. And go back to sales school, because I think that's kind of, everyone knows how to find their prospects out there. Not a big, it's pretty easy. There's a lot of ways to do it. You can use rank, and you can use all the new things and the new contact control. There's a lot of filters where you can find your new clients. You know how to do that. But there's also other ways you can get call lists on the new contact control. And it's in those custom filters that you see there, and really cool. All of these things are already there. There's already filters for these people. So it's really easy when you get back to the office to go ahead and give these people a call. All right, so dormant clients, the drifting clients, the 20% off ones, not just any drifting clients. We'll talk about that in a second. And then lonely clients. Now, you're probably saying, Kevin, I know what a new client is, but what are all those other things, okay? So let's go over the definitions of these things. And you don't have to overthink it. Just use the filters. That's how you get but you're probably wondering who these people are and what qualifies them to be on these lists. So a dormant client, that's pretty easy. Unsold in the last 3 years. If you sold them in the last 3 years, they're still just a client. They're not on your rolling 12. We'd really appreciate if you sold them too, but you're not going to get paid anything on it unless they're one of these other things. So unsold in the last 3 years, dormant client, all right? Then you've got your drifting clients. Now these are, a little different because they come to you from either a termed employee or termed sales professional or a transferred one. So those are how things are determined to be a drifting client. Now, again, these are the 20% eligible clients. Now, if I transfer a client to you, just because they drifted from me to you does not make them eligible for money. So don't be trying that. It's actually, will hurt you more than anything, because if you have a drifting client already and you transfer that drifting client to somebody else, they're no longer eligible and you don't get paid the money, okay? So keep your own drifting clients, because it changes the transfer type and it removes the flag, and we can't really track it. So don't transfer drifting clients to other partners. Sell them. You're going to make money off of it, okay? All right, so lonely clients. Now, how do you get lonely clients? Now, lonely clients are the drifting clients that you got that you didn't sell in the first year, okay? So after that first year of a transfer, they're going to be a lonely client. So that is what that is. So 3, 4 different, client types, and that's the definitions for those. We good? Are y'all excited to go in on Monday and create some call lists from those great filters we have in Contact Control? Cool. All right. Well, we're going to move to the next part. Turn your heads to the screen. To paint a picture of what connecting to the Tom James opportunity can look like, from San Antonio, Texas, Ivan Luna.
Thank you. There you go. Not yet. You see, I started my career back in 2013, and for the first time in my life, I did not come out of the gate swinging. You see, I wasn't really a young professional. I was more like a kid with an iPad who thought, I'm gonna be rich. I really thought that success was more like a vibe and not really a system. And I thought that if you were motivated, that was enough. So my first year, boom, I sold 450 units. I was below average. And it wasn't because I didn't have the talent, but it was because I didn't have any accountability. My whole life, talking to people actually came pretty easy to me. And for the most part, people thought I was funny, and I thought they actually liked me. So, I thought this job was just going to be a walk in the park. But what I quickly realized is that in this job, what really matters, it's what happens behind closed doors, when no one else is watching. So 5 years into my career, I had to step away for 10 months because I couldn't renew my visa. So during those 10 months, I was actually watching my friends just move forward while I was just sitting still. But for the first time in my life, I actually got a chance to see myself clearly. And what I saw wasn't a Hall of Famer or someone who was going to break any records. Actually, I saw someone who was capable but wasn't willing. You see, when I was able to come back after 10 months and I got all my business stuff figured out, my whole mindset completely changed. And that happened because I realized that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Also, I developed a huge sense of gratitude for our company, because here, they actually give us the blueprint of what it takes to be successful. All we really have to do is just follow it. Also when I came back, I just developed this huge amount of gratitude for things that in the past I just took for granted. The trips we take, the clients we get to serve, the clothing, and even our health insurance. But also in my personal life, something else changed. I was about to get married. And during that time, I actually remember that I was listening to podcasts and I started watching are seeing like all these motivational posters. And for the first time, instead of getting motivated, I was actually growing this anxiety, and I was getting scared. I had a huge fear of failure. I was so scared of looking at my wife in the eyes and telling her, honey, I love you. I also have a ton of debt. So that was the first time that I decided to make a real decision. If I was going to come back, I was going to make sure that I was going to think bigger, I was going to make no excuses, and I was going to take full advantage of this opportunity. You see, this time around, for the first 5 years in my life, I was just trying to do everything my own way, reinvent the wheel. I was so caught up into like networking and hitting every single happy hour that I could in San Antonio that sometimes I didn't even realize that I was spending more money than I was actually making. And also, if you go back and look at my numbers, like every month, it was a roller coaster. And the reason why is because I was just looking for those shortcuts. Every month, I was hoping for that one big client that will get me to quota, instead of actually focusing on my habits. So I put everything into perspective, and I realized the company's been around longer than I've been alive, so I might as well just follow the blueprint. So all I did was focus on these 4 things. Get 10 new clients every month, 20 transactions a month, 15 referrals every day, and make sure that I was doing 2 hours of appointment setting time. And the first step I took was to make sure that I was spending at least 2 hours just booking appointments. Because, let's be real. Raise your hand if you've ever done fake phone time. Where you're totally just like grabbing a cup of coffee, getting your favorite pen, your lucky pen. Then, next thing you know, 2 hours have passed and all you did was like a couple phone calls. You see, the first decision that I made was no matter what, no excuses, no distractions. I was just going to grab the phone and make appointments for 2 hours. And all that consistency, day in and day out of booking appointments, actually turned a below average kid into a Hall of Famer. I became the 4th fastest to President's Cabinet as a restarter. Oh, thank you, Marty. And restarting in the same city, I used to think that, oh, that's easy. But while I was really grateful for all the clients that I got to keep, it was also really hard to see a lot of my bigger clients actually developing relationships with a different rep. So right after that, I started hitting like bigger numbers. So, I fell into, not trap, but like I started to realize why so many people in our company, once they start really producing, they just decide that they just want to focus on their sales. Because it's really easy to think, why should I teach someone else and slow down if I can just go sell and get paid? And if I'm honest, actually, I fell into that trap too. For about a year and a half, I didn't want to hire anyone. I was just going to go hit Shermans, then Hayes, and then car and driver, and then I was going to start hiring. So, there's something dangerous that happens when you start winning. You actually start believing that you got it all figured out. So you stop asking questions, you stop being a student, and you just stop being coachable. But here at Tom James, we actually have something that most companies never will. Here, we actually have the tools like coaching, advanced follow days, Horizon, small groups, and we even have leaders that will pour into you if you actually let them. So I didn't let my success be the ceiling, but instead, I signed up for coaching. And right after that, I did advanced follow days. And I didn't do it because I was failing, but I did it because I just wanted to see what was possible. And what I saw completely rewired my brain. You see, Dominic Roberto, he was the first person that I ever followed. And if I'm honest, when I landed in Boston, I did not have the best mindset. As soon as I got there, the only things I knew about Boston was the Red Sox. There was a show that I used to watch back in the day called Boston Legal. So, I honestly thought that everyone in Boston was wearing like three-piece suits and working out of these like super nice offices and skyscrapers. And really, all I could think about is like, how much can I learn from this guy if I'm used to this type of clients? I was like, our markets are so different. But man, what I saw that day, so we actually ended up going to offices, very traditional attorney-looking offices. We went to a couple of car dealerships. We went to a construction company. We actually went to a hair salon. And we even went to a meat market. And trust me, we have plenty of those in San Antonio. But that day we ended up seeing about 7, 8 people. And like around 3:30, I remember Dom, he was telling me about this new client that we were about to go see and how excited he was about it because he's been chasing him for 2 years. So, we went to this beautiful home right by the beach. And the guy, as soon as he started talking, he starts showing us his toys and all this cool stuff that he had. Then Dom, he just started doing his Dom thing, right? Then like an hour to maybe an hour and a half later, he just finishes the order, turns the iPad around, and it's like, all right, I take half down and half upon delivery. It was a $200,000 order. The guy was definitely sticker shocked. But, Dom, he was just so cool, calm, and collected that he's like, all right, let's go over your order. So they start just going over the order. He's like, I don't need this suit. I don't need this. I don't need that. And starts getting rid of a few items. And then he just said, here, put it on the cart. It was a $160,000 order. I remember looking at that, and I'm like, you literally just sold more than my best month ever. So the guy just gave me the card. He runs the card. Payment goes through. We start walking back to the car. I remember thinking on my way there, I'm like, oh my God, we have to go out and celebrate. It's been such a good day. And I will never forget the thing that Dom told me that day. We got in the car, and then it looks like his watch is like, but it's 4:30. I think I can book someone else. He hopped on the phone, and 10 minutes later, he booked a same-day appointment, 15 minutes out. We ended up going to this lady's house. We give the presentation. She didn't buy. Now, this time around, I was really thinking, like, we got to talk about a nice restaurant. But instead, we got back in his car, and what he told me was, Ivan, we're 35 minutes away from the city. Let's see how many appointments we can book. I replayed that day in my head over and over again when I was at the hotel. And I couldn't help but ask myself a few questions. I was like, what would have happened if I actually met the exact same people, but back home? Do I think those people like me? Boom, check. Do I think I could have sold them? Check. But at the next one, I had to be real with myself. How much do I really think I would have been able to sell? I replayed every best case scenario in my head, and honestly, all I could come up with is like, Oxford, package A, $40,000. Because to me, that's a great day. $40,000, $50,000, I'll take it. But then just seeing that I would have left $130,000 on the table, it really forced me for the first time in my career to actually think bigger. And then a year later, I decided to follow Alex Homer. You see, with Alex, I was not hesitant about the market because he's only like 3 hours away from San Antonio. But the thing about Alex, like, if you ever talk to Alex, he's so like polished, and the way he speaks is like so eloquently. I'm like, there's no way I can talk like Alex. Come on, I have an accent. But what I saw that day, Alex has everything down to a science. As soon as he walks into his office, his driver, his assistant, they get everything ready for the day. The assistant hands out this couple calling list to Alex, and then he just gets on the phone. You see, that day we ended up seeing the same thing, like 6, 7 people. And then I just felt like we did not waste any time. We had people cancel. He had a plan B. He had some people who bought, some people didn't. He'll start texting people, getting text transactions. Alex just makes the whole job look so smooth and so easy that it's just amazing to watch. And with Alex, our very last appointment, it was a fitting that he was about to deliver 100 units worth of clothing. First-time client. I was super excited just to watch and see the whole thing, but as soon as we walked in, his client, she was kind of like rushed. So my instinct back then was just to match their energy, just try to rush everything and get out of there. But instead, what I saw was just Alex just keeping his cool, going into so much detail about the clothing, and getting her so excited about her clothes that 10 minutes later, she literally looked like a little kid on Christmas Day, excited to try it on. And she tried it on. We had to do some alterations. So, we had to pin stuff down, chalk it up, and all that kind of good stuff. And as soon as we were done, she just started walking us out of her office. I was actually walking with her, but then I turned, and I look at Alex just taking a seat, and just very nicely, he just said, "By the way, I have a few ideas prepared for you." And 15 minutes later, he sold another $15,000, $17,000. You see, when I was driving back from Houston, I just started thinking how many times I've sold $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000. And then when I go back for the fitting, I'm so scared of showing clothes. I'm like, they already bought too much. So I learned two really big things with Alex that day. Number one, he taught me that the price doesn't really matter. It's all about the pieces. It doesn't matter if you're delivering 3 suits and they're like $10,000 a pop, or they're just $1,000 a pop. It's just about really serving your clients and helping them with their wardrobe. And then the second thing is that he helped me realize that the opportunity here wasn't small, but my thinking was. And then last year, I decided to follow Jack. I wanted to follow Jack because he's the only person I knew back then that was in the top 25 and was leading a really large office. And when I went to see Jack, what I saw was just unbelievable. He is just a leader who leads by example. He picked me up from the hotel. We were the very first ones in the office. And then as soon as the morning meeting was over, he was the first one who got to the bullpen, and then he just started making phone calls. He did not waste any time. He was just focused on the habits. Our day wasn't perfect. We had people cancel. We had some people bought, some people didn't. But the whole day, Jack, he was just so focused on doing his habits that even when we went to grab a quick bite, he floated somebody. In my mind, I thought that the top 25, they have so many clients and they're just so referable that they don't have to do any of that stuff. But that day, I just got to see firsthand how all they do is really focus on those habits. So, if you're feeling like you're stuck right now, it is definitely not because your market, or it is not because the people you get to serve, they don't spend that much money on clothes. It has nothing to do with the way you speak. And also, for sure, it has nothing to do because you don't have the help. It's just simply because you haven't asked. So, 3 years ago, Dave Weichel, he was actually retiring. And I was sitting all the way in the back, and I remember on stage they said, "If he changed your life, please stand." And I remember just watching all the way from back there, one row stood, then another, then another. And I couldn't help but to ask myself, if I were to retire today, would anyone stand? And you see, that question hit me harder than any sales metric ever did. That was the day that I truly decided that my legacy will not be my numbers, and that my legacy will be people. Thank you. Because I got to tell you, a hard truth out loud, but for 8 years, I was really not a good leader. For 8 years, instead of leading, I felt like I was auditioning for The Bachelor. Because I didn't really want to lead. I just wanted people to like me. You see, like, I remember like just sitting in the back, like I didn't want to confront anybody. I just wanted to be friends with all my directs. I didn't want to rock any boats. And I actually remember Steve telling me one day, Ivan, when you're trying to keep the peace, all you're really doing is keeping the tension. So back then, I also saw that the ones that were paying the price for me just trying to be cool with them, it wasn't really me, but it was them. That's why like 2 years ago, that's when I decided to apply for You Build It, You Keep It. And I promise you, I did not have everything figured out. But man, that process, it completely rebuilt me. It actually forced me to ask myself questions that I've never asked before. Like, who am I as a leader? What do I stand for? What am I willing to tolerate? And what do I want to build? You see, this is the first time in my career that I stopped chasing income and I wanted to build people. Because, thank you. Because when I applied to store leader, I was forced to see our office the way an outsider would. And on paper, our culture looked great because we were producing. But as an insider, I actually knew that if we were doing this well without actually doing any phone time, official phone time at all, or actually doing any type of activities outside the office and building real relationships, how much better can we do if we decided to sit side by side and actually work as a team? You know, the most powerful meeting that we had a year ago was when we sat down as an office and we decided that for the morning meeting, we were just going to talk about our perfect office. You know, that morning, two things happened. One, we actually came up with our own Store 27 mission statement. And then the second thing is that we decided that as an office, we were going to lead the company in office culture and results. And that's how the road to Hall of Fame months as a store started. You see, last year, as a store, we hit 8 out of 12 months as Hall of Fame. You know, and out of all the successes that I've ever had, this is what I'm the most proud. Because I didn't do it by myself. It took every single person in my office for us to accomplish this. And I cannot tell you how much I love working with these people. Yeah. You know, they're the ones that actually make my job fun. They actually make me come to the office, and they're the reason why I want to grow, just because I want to break belief barriers for them. So I like to keep things very simple. So what leadership means to me now, it's just 3 things. Number 1, having really good communication. And what I mean by that is that in our office, it doesn't matter how big or small the issue is, we just address it right away. You know, because you always want to speak early, you want to speak clearly, and you want to speak from principle and not emotion. The second thing is that we have really high standards. A leader who doesn't have any standards is really more like a babysitter. So what we do at the office, we never put any pressure on results, but we put pressure on habits and activity. That's what we care about. And then last but not least, it's going to be trust. You know, and with trust, I think like for someone to truly trust you, you have to lead by example, and you got to keep your word. Because they know that I'm going to tell them the truth, even if it hurts. But they also know that I don't have all the answers. I don't even pretend that I have all the answers. But what I can do is I can just help them get there. So, do you remember the kid from 2013? You know, I'm still the same kid. I still have the same dreams. But But about those $20, well, I'm proud to say that I have a few more zeros in that bank account. Thank you. So I want you just to look around, because someone in here right now is having their 450 unit year. Someone in here is just waiting to have that conversation they desperately need to have. Someone in here just decided that leadership wasn't for them. But what I want to tell you is that you're only one decision away from changing your life. And what that is just to decide that you're going to think bigger, you're going to choose growth, and you're going to decide to lead. Because when this job is done, there's only one question that will matter. Who stood because you were around? Thank you.
To walk us through the January 2026 spring collection, here's Matthew Perez.
You turn it off at the best part. Arf, arf. Any Knock Loose fans? Just me? All right, at least two. Hey, guys. Excited for this? I start every time I speak in front of people with gratitude. I think we've all learned that as a company. And I want to start out by saying the suit I'm wearing right now, I wore this specifically because this is a suit made by Tom James, by English American, August 22nd, 1973. This shirt is from Individualized Shirts from September 3rd, 1973. This is a 53-year-old outfit made by our company. That's pretty incredible. Let's see if we can get the slides working. But the fact that we have, as an amazing of a manufacturing machine that we have, is unprecedented in the industry. And let's take a look real quick at some of our manufacturing facilities. I'll stand and give a very large thank you. He didn't know I was going to do this, but Craig Forrest, the fact that you have set up and work with English American, Oxford Clothing, Holland Sherry Apparel, RTC, Copley, Crossville, TJ Chili, Clisol, and Individualized Shirts, Measure Up, and Brown and Church is absolutely astounding, and we all appreciate you very, very much. All right, let's get into spring, summer 26. Let's take a look. about it? I want to start off about talking about this by thanking two people in this room who have put a huge amount of effort, incredible amount of effort. These things do not happen by just happenstance, and that's Molly Rousey and Sam Habib. Thank you so much for your input on this. And I just want to try something real quick. Okay, so we have a crew of about 16 people that work on about every photo shoot we do. It's not just, like I said, the three of us. But these 5 guys have shot and helped on photo shoots all over the world with Prada, with other fashion companies, and they continuously say to us, Tom James is their favorite set to be on, which I take with pride because we're a world-class company and we want to treat the people that work for us world-class. They have no idea that this presentation goes on. They come, they work, they shoot, they do all the beautiful photos and video. But I want to do a little thank you video for them real quick if I can. I'm just going to talk on my phone, and when I turn around, just say thank you, okay? All right. Hey, Al, Lucas, Jake, Wes, Eric. I'm here presenting Spring Summer 26 with Tom James, and we just want to tell you something real quick. Yeah. Love you, boys. All right. So let's look at the 4 things we want to pay attention to. This is one of the only sessions I'll encourage you, get your iPad out, look through it, swipe through it as we go along. Also, real quick, Jane, you've said no more to me probably than anybody in this company in the past 3 years. I love you. I'm sorry I've put you probably through so much stress. The 4 things we want to look at. Let's start out with color. There's a resurgence of color. You have noticed over the past, let's say 3 or 4 years when we've done the lookbooks, a lot of earth tones have dominated, a lot of neutrals have dominated. What we've been seeing in the marketplace is a big resurgence of color, and really in the pastel world. So what you'll see as you're scrolling through this, we have butter yellow, which last year butter yellow had like its moment and probably still is going through into this next season, but we have represented in men and women's there. You'll see cantaloupe, mint, even pops of color in the sport coats. There's that beautiful purple in that brown Glen plaid, and then coral. So this is an exciting thing for us because I'm sure we always want to be presenting to most of our clients that obviously we're the experts, that we want to tell them what's going on in the fashion world. A lot of time we just do navy and gray, but as we go into this next season, color is going to play a big part as we go out probably through the next 3 years. So just take mind of that as you're looking through the new corporate image, EC, and RC folders, even in the Holland Sherry, start to present color to your clients. Alternative suiting. We talked about this last time. This is still going really, really strong. We're finding new and different ways, especially with what manufacturing is doing. Stephen Hero and his team, the Women's Initiative, on creating these new outfits that we can now make as sets for women. So this is kind of like alternative suiting. I see, obviously, a lot of our women here in Tom James kind of wearing these outfits already. Western suiting is massive right now. Western wear is still kind of prevailing in the marketplace. So we have the Western suiting now for men. I know Daniel Wiebrocht has championed this for years and years. You're now having your moment, man. So I'll put this in there for you. But even with the women, short suits, and then I love this jacket, the Becca jacket. It's kind of this lapel-less jacket that Molly put in here with wool silk linen. So just kind of be looking, have in mind our different items we can make. You have the Yellowstones, the bombers, things like that. You can make different alternative suiting for your clients, and of course, they can be broken up as separates. All right, so solids have been the thing, solid colors, but now we're seeing, once again, these subtle patterns come back into the marketplace. So in this lookbook, you will see the solids. They're still everywhere, but we are seeing pattern come back in a big way. I love this jade suit, and it has this really, really slight Glen plaid to it. So it's just enough pattern to kind of keep it interesting. But you'll see this through the lookbook. The butter yellow jacket has that real simple light blue window pane. This is a grid check. If you open up this page in the lookbook and zoom in on this fabric and look at it in your folders, it's beautiful. It's a great alternative to a navy suit, maybe something different for the spring, summer. Excuse me. And then Western wear for women, obviously, as well. One thing I do want to point out, I heard from you guys. I get it. We had the wool silk linen lookbook from the past in the VSS that got taken off. We shot a ton of wool silk linen in this lookbook for you guys to update because I know we sell a ton of it. So you will find that peppered throughout the entire lookbook on men and women. And then, of course, you know, the tans, and then you got mint green right there and wool silk linen. All right, let's talk about the dress shirt. So, Business of Fashion. Does anybody follow Business of Fashion, BOF, on Instagram? Check them out, but also their articles are great. They kind of do a broad, sweeping assessment of the fashion world. Last year, it was said the tie is making a comeback, and guys, the tie is here to stay this year. That is, Larry Marshall's back there, and I know he's glad to hear that, but we are going to push ties like we never have before. Please, please, please show 4 to 5 ties with each jacket you take out. But the dress shirt, a tie has to be worn with the dress shirt. We've seen a lot of knitwear pop into the industry and different ways of kind of layering, but the dress shirt's coming back. So we featured it in a myriad of ways. Here you have little motifs like the tennis racket, some stripes. We have the Western shirt, once again, coming back, banker shirts, all the way to the women's stuff. I find the women's dress shirts really interesting because you can do so many different things with our women's shirts. But the sleeveless shirt, I'm sure most of you will be wearing. Your clients will love it. Obviously, different takes on the bankers. This sunshine motif will sell out, guys. Sell it as quick as you can because it will sell out. And then palm tree motif. And then, Molly, what's this shirt called? Matilda? Matilda. I always forget the names of them, but Matilda shirt, fantastic. I think she was wearing it yesterday, and a few of you have as well. And there's the sunshine motif in a long sleeve camp. This is great for like vacations or any of your clients kind of heading out for the weekend. The long sleeve camp shirt's a great way to go. All right, here's the notable outfits. These are the things that will sell out fast. Whenever we get these new books, I hear from a lot of you, why do we sell out? Because they're just popular. They look good, and your clients will look good in them. The green window pane and the women's lookbook, that will sell out along with the tennis motif shirt. Make sure to show that as quickly as you can. I love this crushed linen Oxford kind of safari jacket. If you're going on the Hayes trip in May, order one right now. You need to be wearing that when you're looking at giraffes and zebras and rhinos and all that stuff. Fantastic jacket, though. Anytime we show one of the new tweeds, anytime, this thing will sell out. Holland Sherry is prepped, but they will sell out. So make sure you show this to your ladies as quick as you can. And then on the left there, that's Oresco. Has anybody seen the new Oresco folder from Holland Sherry? Yeah, it's great. So we featured 3 of those fabrics throughout this lookbook. Those stripes are really prominent. They look really nice. And the colors are, once again, in that kind of pastel family, kind of continuing on with the pops of color as we go along. The Maclano on the right there has been featured for many years, but that's a great fit. And then we featured, once again, Sam had the great idea. We featured this kind of glim plaid in a sport coat last spring, summer. We brought it back as a suit. It's a wonderful travel suit, very James Bond. I love this fabric. And then these last 2 outfits, everybody needs a good blue blazer. This is kind of a nautical look, but how cool are these knits that we have stripes now? Pretty interesting. Pick up a few for yourself, and then this gray glim plaid on the left with ladies, I think is just a knockout. I want to see that suit everywhere the next Tom James meeting. It looks so great. All right, so before we get into this next piece, I just want to kind of give you guys a little bit of frame of reference for why maybe the lookbook looks the way it does. I'm going to step up here so I can see right here. But this, whenever we look at and make the lookbooks, it's not me meeting with Craig and Craig going, Matthew, you want to put this in here. It's not our merchandising team meeting as a team and going, we think this would be cool. We're constantly looking at what's in the market right now that your clients can buy. So let's take a look at a few things. You've seen a lot of pleated pants in the lookbook. I keep having guys going, this kind of modern. Pleated pants have been around for the past 10 years. They are here to stay. They are a thing. But this is Ralph Lauren. Right now, you can buy this on his website in a suit, multiple ways, but take a look at the price. If you can see those, this is kind of tiny, but it's $700 or $500 for a pair of trousers. That's Ralph Lauren women's trousers. So things aren't super skinny tight anymore. They are getting wider. We're going back to kind of this 1940s mentality, but this is what your clients have seen in the marketplace. When you go to Brunello Cucinelli, those 2 men's fabrics right there, I think that's like $3,400 for the jacket. $870 for the trouser. Listen, I've touched Brunello Cucinelli. It's nice. It's not $3,500 nice for that jacket, but they have great marketing, so that's what you're paying for. And then take a look at the women's trouser. This is their slim trouser. That's a slim trouser. That's their version of slim. So it's not painted onto the body. It is a more of a straight leg. So we're looking at these things. We're taking them into consideration and putting in the lookbook. Tom James is not the company that we're going to be trying to set fashion trends in the market. Our clients are usually not that client. It's the guy that wants to look good. It's the lady that wants to look good. Obviously, the women's can sometimes be a little bit more caught up with the fashions of today. But this is good because your clients are seeing this, and then we're translating that to our lookbooks so that by a year or two down the road, we're with everything that's going on, but we're not trying to make everything spot on to how it is right now in the marketplace, but just want to obviously make sure you guys know about this. And then we have Jill Sander, which Jill Sander for years and years has been the skinny suit, skinny tailoring company. She's always been that designer. But take a look at it. Like, that's their tailored women's jacket. That looks like she just got cloth from the trunk show and draped it over her shoulders. Those trousers are, I mean, I like wide leg trousers, but those are some wide leg trousers. And even their tailored jacket there on the right, you can see the point-to-point's a little bit bigger. It does cinch in a little bit in the middle, but once again, it's kind of a little bit of a larger jacket. So once again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but this is what we're looking at, what we're taking into consideration as we build these lookbooks out for y'all so that when you get in front of clients, you're the expert, our company is the expert. We're putting stuff out that's practical and modern for them to wear right now. All right, so how do we use this? That's the big question. For so long, we have just uploaded lookbooks to the VSS, and it really has been like the Wild West for how it was used. Jordan Yoakum and Don Roberto gave us a great idea a couple years ago to make it a PDF that you can text out. That's been wonderful. But we have dialogues for this, that, standard operating procedure for this and that, policy for this and that. But with the lookbooks, it's just kind of like lookbooks are uploaded. Merry Christmas, have fun. So how do we actually use this in our everyday selling opportunities? And so I want to welcome to stage Molly Riazzi. I chose this photo. Store leader of Raleigh, Chairman's Club member for now, Hayes Club, here she comes, and women's merchandising. Hey, did you get a microphone? Oh, nice. How are you?
Hi.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Long time.
I know. All right. So the reason I want to have her up here is Molly has her ear to the ground of selling. She's a Chairman's Club member. She's getting her speech tonight. But also, she is on the side of merchandising and the women's initiative that deals with sales. So she has both feet in the pond, so to speak, on this. And so you and I have talked about, I mean, probably more than most, obviously, in here about lookbooks and how they operate and why we have them and all that. And I think we have a good idea by now, hopefully, of what they're supposed to be. But in your own words, what would you say you think the purpose of the lookbooks are for the company?
I think it's multifaceted. I think in a lot of ways we use the lookbooks as outward facing to our clients. To kind of establish our brand, show them what we're putting out there right now, so they can get an overall idea of some of the really cool things we can do. And then internally, I think it just helps us a lot as a sales force to just come up with new ideas. We're busy throughout our day, like seeing 5 people and more. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I need some ideas. I need some, inspiration. And so it's a way to get some quick new looks to be prepared because we're always, wardrobe prepping and things like that. And so I think we use it outward and inward most of the time.
It acts as a branding tool, obviously, for us, for
right,
new prospects and things like that. But internally, it's obviously a great tool for us to use.
Exactly.
And as I mentioned before, Tom James, we have policy for everything, standard operating procedure, dialogues upon dialogues upon dialogues, and the lookbooks are just kind of there. We've put a lot of thought into the user experience of how a client would see the lookbook.
Right.
But walk us through how you've integrated the lookbook, how you use it. I know you talk with the Women's Initiative a lot, you talk with your office a lot about how to use the lookbook into the customer buying experience for Tom James, selling experience.
I think it's different, new clients versus current clients. With new clients, sometimes I'm sending the lookbooks ahead of time. If the brands they tell me are, equivalent to some of the looks that we have in the lookbooks. But then with clients, sometimes I send it ahead of time just if I think there's things that they like. But most of the time I'm using it for wardrobe planning. I'm going through, looking at suits, sport coats, shirts, pants, dresses, skirts for ladies, tops, shirts for men, and I'm each category, all right, what do I want to show these people? And then do I have lookbook photos to back them up? Because we all know people are so visual. And so anytime we can have something to back it up, that's what I'm using it for.
So you use it like as a prep tool?
Yep.
And are clients getting the lookbook ahead of time? Are you sending that to all your current clients, new clients? How does that work?
I think with new clients, especially with women, I'm sending it ahead of time a lot of times so they can browse through. I think it was Mark Cleve that said women like to buy, they don't like to be sold. And so they like to peruse a catalog sometimes. And so I'll send that to them a lot of times ahead of time. But also with my current clients, especially if that's a new client, with my current clients, I have a general idea of their style. I've been wardrobe planning for them, for a certain amount of time. And so if I think there's certain looks they would like, I'll send it ahead of time. Otherwise, I just use it in my planning.
Yeah. Speaking of the women's lookbook, I know, Jared Myers out here, we've heard from him and thankfully other people about how they've sent the women's lookbook ahead of time so they can peruse, and it becomes an easier way to obviously sell our new women's clients or current women's clients. But speaking of that women's lookbook, is there a marked difference of how you use the women's lookbook, say, versus the men's lookbook? Do you draw a differentiation between those two? Is there a certain way you act in a way that you send them or use them, or is it both the same?
No, it definitely is different. And I think we've been, making clothes for men since the beginning. So we have a little bit more of a brand presence in menswear. A lot of people, not everybody, of course, has heard of us, but a lot of people have heard of us. And so a lot of times when I reach out to a new male client, they've already done custom, even if they haven't heard Tom James, or they've heard of custom. And so I don't feel like I need to send the lookbooks ahead of time to them, because usually they have a general idea, of what we do. Unless they tell me brands, like I said on the phone, that line up with, some of the looks that you and Sam are putting in the lookbook. With women, I usually I use it a lot as a tool to get them interested in meeting with us. A lot of women have never done custom clothing. They've never even heard of this concept. They're excited to hear about it, but they also want to know. They're used to shopping online and looking at social media, and they're like, what do they make? I want to see some examples. So I use it as kind of a tool to draw them in if it's harder to get the appointment because they're not really sure what this is. Or if they do set an appointment, but they're a little bit like, what kind of stuff do you have? I'll send it to them just to kind of get them to want to keep the appointment.
And I think you've told me before, because we have the PDFs, we're able to link them into your email signature.
Yeah. So I'll do that sometimes as well. Just depends on who I'm emailing or mass emailing. I'll put the lookbooks at the bottom of near my signature, the links, just so people can peruse and see just ahead of time. And sometimes it makes the whole appointment so much easier because they come in with a couple looks they already like.
Yeah.
So
I think the important thing here is that you've created your own SOP, standard operating procedure, for how you use these things. And I think that's important. We're not going to tell you exactly it has to be this exact way, because I think all the people in here, you sell your clients your way. You are Tom James to your client. So we're not saying it has to be exactly the way that Molly does. But just like Yvonne just talked about when prepping his business for the way he acted and the habits that he put in place, you have to do the same thing with these books, because kind of getting to this next question, we obviously have spring, summer, and fall, winter, which are our big lookbooks that come out that support the new seasons. But throughout the year, we work on considerably more photo shoots that become kind of smaller lookbooks. We have had Super Stretch this past year. In 2025, we had Anteros and Legenda, which is absolutely incredible fabric. And then Stretch Donegal, a book that came out, and then Elevated Casual. And, of course, some other women's ones with in there kind of peppered in. But so aside from the two big lookbooks that we just talked about, how are you integrating these into the mix as well? Do those then become just like you build appointments around those, or is the way that you kind of monitor and use those smaller ones as well?
I definitely use the smaller ones in wardrobe planning most of the time. I don't send those out as much unless, things like Silk Donegal, we've had before and clients have liked, so sometimes I'll send it to those. But for most people, I'm just using those for wardrobe planning ahead of time, because how great was it to have with the Stretch Donegal the booklet with the fabric in it and the photo right next to it to back it up. And so when I'm showing the ideas, I'm going to sound kind of like a broken record, but I'm just going through their wardrobe, planning, making sure I'm covering every category, and then using those smaller lookbooks, to back up the ideas that I have, so they can visually see what I'm talking about. Because a lot of the smaller lookbooks are very like niche fabrics, niche looks, and sometimes our clients, they rely on us because they're not visual. They can't see it in their head like we can.
Right.
And so having those pictures to back up my idea and why they might want it is super helpful.
Big thanks to Liam Forrest. Liam was the one who designed and made that Stretch Donegal book that has the pictures, the fabric in it. And I've heard from so many of you how much you guys have enjoyed that. So it's not going to be every time, but we may try to redo that a couple times throughout the next couple years. Then lastly, capsule selling. We've heard so much about capsule selling. You and I have obviously done 2 or 3 morning meetings on capsule selling. And we released the women's capsule lookbook, which for us was huge. Long time coming. Thank you, Alex Homer. Who else do we have to thank for that? Rebecca Garces, Tiffany Popson, Jill. Oh yeah, Jill Scott had. I mean, a lot of the ideas that come about are because of y'all. But with that capsule lookbook that we plan on releasing one in February, has capsule selling become the primary way you're selling women? And does that carry over into men? Or kind of how are you using that lookbook template? In other words, to sell women, and are you using it for men as well?
Yeah, it definitely is the primary way that I sell women. What's so great is I had a couple women get capsules in October, and then in December, when I was planning for their delivery, it was just more pieces to expand on their capsules. They've already bought like that, so how much easier is it when you go back to be selling in capsules? And really, of course, the idea is outfits, so that they don't want to have to make those decisions in the morning about what to put with what. That's why they buy their clothes from us. And so capsule selling really does save them a ton of time as well. And so I definitely do it more with ladies. I've started to integrate it a little bit more with men. The concept isn't as familiar to them. They're used to buying with outfits, and they want us to say, this goes with this goes with this, which is great. And I still do that, but I'm starting to try to kind of like teach that capsule concept to a lot of my male clients. And so truthfully, I haven't quite figured out how to do it as much on the men's side. There's people that sell a lot more than me that probably could do that. But I know it's working so well on the women's side, so I'm going to keep, planting the seed with my male clients to be buying that way as well. They don't break up their suits as much, which is, part of the reason. But obviously, they could be buying, sport coats and pants and shirts and all things that go differently, together to create a capsule. It makes it easier to travel to. I emphasize that a lot too.
Spoiler alert, Sam Habib is designing a men's capsule book right now as we speak, and that'll come out later in 2026. So we will have that as well. Well, thank you so much, Molly. I think the important thing here, like we said, is that it has to become part of, because we release so much and manufacturing releases so much, to keep your head on a swivel with the VSS. Obviously, we'll continue to send for review alls out. We'll continue to teach on these things. But create a system in which these pictures and these lookbooks can create sales for you. I mean, that's the idea, is that these bring in new prospects from a social media standpoint for you guys, and then they easily sell themselves. That's my desire for you guys, is just to have an easier sales experience as you go out and continue to grow your business. So thank you, Molly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam, back there.
Sam.
Thank you, John, and the rest of the merchandising team. We'll have a few more lookbooks coming out this year for you.
Nice work. Nice work, nice work. Nice work, Matt and Molly. Those lookbooks look awesome, don't they, Sheila?
We have so much to look forward to this season, I feel like.
Very cool. I like those outfits. Believe it or not, ladies and gents, our week is almost done. Can you believe it? It goes by so fast. Departure and shuttle announcements. Friday, checkout is at 11 a.m. Luggage will be stored in the plant ballroom pre-function area on the second floor. So I guess that's around here in this area. Departures begin after our general session is over, around 12:30 tomorrow. Runs every 30 minutes. The last shuttle departs at 5 p.m. Plan to board at least 2 hours prior to domestic flights. Reimbursements. Submit reimbursements for the international meeting through Certify using PO number 26-1000. PO number 26-1000.
And then tonight, we celebrate our Chairman's Club winners.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So let's show them some love for all their hard work. Cocktails will start at 6 p.m. and doors open at 6:45. Make sure you pick up your drink tickets if you haven't already at the registration desk before tonight. And per Todd's instructions, all right, international meetings will continue to include a company-wide cocktail reception with past appetizers and 2 drink coupons to celebrate our chairman's achievers together. So to ensure consistency and inclusivity, we ask that the division teams, stores, and team leaders avoid hosting any individual or one-off celebrations during the international meetings, okay? So all recognition should take place tonight in designated group event. Cool? Any individual celebration should be held locally in the achiever's home city, either before or after this international meeting.
Cool.
Next up.
Breakout sessions.
Starting at 10:15.
All right.
See you this evening.
See ya.